Hi everyone. Thank you for joining me for another StART program where stories and art collide. We're going to do some really fun crafts today, and we're going to break it down a little differently this time. Usually what I like to do is do all the crafts in one long video, but this time I'm going to make 3 shorter videos. But before we get started on the crafts, let me introduce you to some great books which I'm sure you may have read before, and if you haven't, maybe you can pick them up and give them a try. But this theme we're doing with the holidays, and so many different holidays are being celebrated, from Kwanzaa to Hanukkah to Christmas is coming up, and the candle theme is so prevalent in all of these different traditions and celebrations that one of the first crafts I wanted to do was this pretty little votive one. I'm going to move it out of the way so I can share the books first with you. Okay. Whoops. I don't seem to have much space on my little table here, so we're just going to scooch that over to the side. Anyway, over my shoulder you might see a collection of books I pulled from the library. We have many, many more ready and waiting for someone to pick up and read. But you could read Little Red Ruthie, which is a Hanukkah story. If you want to read something about Kwanzaa, we have 7 Spools of Thread and Little Rabbit's Kwanzaa. But we have many more on that subject too. And I also grabbed one of the more traditional books for the Christmas holiday, and that's the Nutcracker. Illustrations are really pretty, and actually some of them are a little scary with the mice and everything, but you'll enjoy this. But we have lots of different stories and books available for any of the celebrations that you might be enjoying with your family. Now, the 3 different crafts we're going to do, you might see this funny little guy right here. I'm going to move him up a little bit. We're going to make a cute little house, and we're going to make a little maze in the back and drop a ball into the top of the roof, and this little guy is going to plop right down through the chimney. Okay? We're going to do that as one of the other crafts. We're going to start off with I think we'll start off with this one. This is the pretty little votive candles. Very simple to do, but there is one more we're going to do this month, and we're going to make marbleized ornaments. Okay, real simple and fun. Just nail polish, believe it or not. So that will be one of the other videos. So let's get started on this one. Now, to do this craft, and let me take the candle out and show you. See how pretty that is? It's a cute little doily. Yes, it's a doily that you can find at an antique store or tucked away in a linen closet that probably no one's been using. But I went to a little vintage store around the corner, and I grabbed a couple of different doilies, and it's the crocheted kind. It's not the polyester or nylon type. So it's a cloth material, and all we're going to do is put a mixture of glue and water, and it will dry overnight, and then it becomes rigid. And you can put maybe some ornaments in it for a little display bowl, or perhaps you could put a couple of pine cones in it and fill it up, or you could just simply put your holiday candle right in there. First thing you're going to need to do is make the shape of the bowl that you're trying to create, okay? And all you need for that is a balloon. This was the hardest part of the craft for me. Blowing up balloons. I always get nervous that they're going to pop on me. So you need a bowl and a balloon that you've blown up. The size of the doilies that I was working with are approximately 9 inches. It might be a little bit better if you're working with something about 6 inches, but it can be done with the larger doilies. Because it is a messy project, I recommend that you get a little piece of paper to capture some of the glue as you're applying it. So get set up with a little bowl and a balloon. Choose a doily. For this purpose right now, I'm just going to drape this little guy right on the top, and that's the start. Okay? The other thing you're going to need is now another bowl, and you're going to put in some glue. And what I did, because it's a 50-50 split of glue and water, I used these cute little 3-ounce paper cups, and I filled it up almost to the brim with glue. And then I poured it into this bowl. And I know that's about 3 ounces. And then I'm going to add 3 ounces of water. Doesn't have to be hot or cold or anything, just right out of the tap. And then get your chopsticks. You know I love to use those. And you're going to start mixing it up. Doesn't take long to get a nice mixture going. But be careful with the first couple spins of the chopstick in the bowl because the water will slosh right out over the top. So as you begin to blend it, you start noticing that it's getting a little bit more opaque. And when it gets to be a nice consistency of glue and water, you're ready to go. Okay, can you see that? It's like oatmeal, you know? Ugh, that's a horrible thought. You wouldn't want to eat this. Okay, let's move on. So it's blended nicely, and then you're going to take one of these cute little brushes. I like using the ones with the sponge, and let me get a little bit more paper towels over here because it might get a little messy for me. Okay, so you dab your brush into the mixture, and then you just apply it to the balloon. And then I found out doing this as I was experimenting with the project. It's best to work from the top and work your way down. And you just pounce it. They call that pouncing. You just kind of pounce your brush over the material till it becomes saturated. If you get a large puddle in between your material, you want to just blot it a little bit so it doesn't create a permanent blob. You're trying to avoid blobs at all costs. You don't want a big old blob in the middle of your pretty little votive candle here. What I also recommend doing is I don't have any tape with me right now. I think I left that on the other table. I put a little marker right on one of the spots of the balloon. So as I was rotating it and going around, I always knew that, okay, I've already done one loop. It's gonna take me about three times around the balloon. You start on the top, you go down a little bit further, and then the final part is right here. And this gets a little bit more difficult if the material of the doily is a little bit bigger than the balloon that you blew up. But you can play with it. You just have to crease it a little bit and then, or pull it up a little bit on one side. And then it sticks together. Oops, this is really hard to do on this little makeshift table that I did. So it doesn't look this complicated, and it won't do that. it will. The thing is alive. It's really quite easy. I'm just working at this makeshift table, and it's got a mind of its own. It's being a free spirit. Okay, so you get the idea. You work your way around, you pat it down, you apply it, and you're gonna find that this size balloon and doily combination will use up almost all of this. This will probably be about 6 ounces of liquid because you did 3 ounces of glue and 3 ounces of water. Seeing as I'm struggling with this little guy here, I'm gonna put him to the side and show you what the next step is. It does take overnight to dry. Okay, now this is the other doily I found. It's a little bit, has a little bit more material on it than the one I was just working on, and it draped further down the balloon. So not only am I sitting at this awkward little table, this might have been easier to do than this one because it's a little bit longer on the balloon. So I'll finish doing that later, and I'll let you know what I think about that. But this size balloon created this votive holder, okay? And I put a bigger candle, a pillar candle into that. Okay, so let's see how I do with this step. Okay, so you let the balloon dry overnight. You can tell it's nice and dry because you've worked your hands around the entire balloon. See, this one actually has that marker that I was talking about. Now, you don't want to pop the balloon because the little doily will collapse, so you don't want to do that. What you have to do is you're going to work your hands into it. Now, it's going to make a lot of screechy noise, so I apologize in advance, but you just push down on the balloon, and you're going to work your fingers. I am petrified of balloons popping, so if it happens, bear with me, all right? Because I'll probably faint. You just work your fingers under there, and you can hear the glue separating from the balloon. But as you can see, when my fingers go under, you can see how rigid that doily is. I'm gonna stop talking because there's too much noise. I'm gonna work my way all the way around one loop. It will probably take about 3 or 4 times around and around because of the size of the doily. Is anyone else nervous it's gonna pop? You know, this is the second time I used this balloon, so it's probably a little weak. Keep your fingers crossed for me. All right, so here we go. And what you do is you press down. It's really amazing how much pressure you can put on this thing, and it doesn't explode. See, my finger just popped through there. I'm being a little bit more aggressive because I don't want to take so much time than I was when I was doing my own without the video going on. But I'm kind of surprised at how quickly it's going. I was much more gentle with it. I might just get this done. What do you think? Should I stop? I think you've got the idea. Look at that. You know what? You made me very brave. I did not do it this fast when I was all by myself here trying it. And look, you got a pretty little candle holder. But really, anything you can think of that you want to display would be pretty in here. Like I said, the little pine cones or anything, pine cones, ornaments, those candles. But if you want to make it even more firm, because there's quite a bit of flexibility to it, and depending on what you decide to put into it, you might want to spray with a polyurethane finish, which will definitely give it a little bit more support. Now you can see there's a couple little pieces here that I might have to snip off, and easy enough to do. But that is our first craft. So how pretty is that? And I'm very glad that balloon didn't pop. So I'm gonna make 2 more videos. We're gonna do the marbleized ornaments, and we're gonna make my little elf fall down the chimney. So I hope you join me again. Okay, happy crafting and have a great holiday. Bye-bye.